Hello, everyone. Welcome to the second episode of Chewy and Company. Today, we're at my kitchen, and you can see the background of my living room with my dearest friend Larissa here. She is originally from Brazil, so she's the most bubbly and loving and kind and really smart entrepreneur. Larissa, do you mind if I start with just sharing with everybody a little bit about your journey, how you made it into the US and decided Charlotte is the destination for you?
Yeah, of course. So thank you for having me.
Of course.
I do think the whole journey started when one of my dearest cousin, Lenny, she went to Brazil in 2017. She has been on the States for well over 20 years by then.
Oh, wow.
And it was her first visit to Brazil. And it was actually when I did meet her in person, because we never met in person before that. And I think since a young age, we have a huge influence from all of the movies and TV shows from the North American culture.
Oh, yeah.
And I was always interested into that. You know, I wanted to have that experience, especially at high school, because you see all of the movies. Things are really fun and things like that. Not that it's the reality, for sure. Obviously, it's just a show or a movie. But, you know, I wanted to have that experience. But at the same time, I knew my parents could afford for me to actually go to school here or go to a program because it just cost so much money.
Right.
And when she went there, she did invite me to come visit. And I was like, wow, okay, this is very nice of her. Obviously, it was just for vacation. But at that point, I was probably working for about 4 years already. And I said, okay, I think I can have some money saved up by the end of the year. So just we can have a fun time. And we actually had a kind of a girls trip with 2 other cousins, and we came to visit them. And it was such a great experience. But it was during this trip that I found out about CPCC, which is a very good program, you know.
Locally in Charlotte, right?
Locally in Charlotte. And they have a program called English as a Second Language. And while I was here during the vacation, I got information from the other cousin on how things work. And I said, I really want to do that. So after the vacation, I went back to Brazil. And then probably a year after that, I asked my cousin, would it be okay, you know, if I do the program and stay with you? And she's just so amazing. She said, oh, yeah, definitely you should come and, you know, stay with me in the house. And that's what I did. And I started the classes, and it was really amazing. So that was my, you know, very first
step
to this journey. I have been in the States before for Disney trip. So that was probably like 8 years.
Yeah.
Crazy. But, you know, it was just Disney. I didn't get to know anything from realistic living here, what was like. But yeah, that was the first step. That's how it happened, you know, the very first contact.
It's very interesting because that's how I ended up being here too. It's someone I met in China invited me over to the United States for a vacation. I have not planned or wanted to stay in the States. I've never left home. I was 18. And then I came and she took me to Disney and I was sold. No, I'm just kidding. But truth is, I was really like amazed and mesmerized by Disney because I was doing TV from 7 to 17 back home, and I've never seen anything you can incorporate and intertwine like media, business, people's dreams. I see adults were just crazy about, you know, the animated characters coming in towards them, and that was just something opened my eyes. I'm like, wow, this is genius of those Americans. Now I'm one of those Americans and very proud for what Disney have done. And also, you know, funny enough, that's very similar, like what we first kind of touched on the American dream there. But on that note, I know you actually studied a lot of like very, very different things, right? In Brazil, you were not in business in any shape or form.
No, not at all. So I did go to college after school, and I started chemistry engineer. And
Smart girl.
oh my God, that was probably for a year and a half.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, it was crazy to me. It was nothing like I'd imagined because I did get my junior's degree in chemistry.
Mm-hmm.
So I worked in a lab, an environment lab,
wow.
for about 6 months. I think that was the program. And I wanted to do something like that. And then when I went to college and I started the classes, I realized it was nothing to do with the day-by-day job that I was used to do and that I learned on the junior's degree. And I was like, yeah, I don't think that's what I want to do. So I decided to change my degree to biomedicine. So I changed actual location for the college. And yeah, that was way much more closer to reality compared to what I wanted to do.
So practical skills for future job opportunities.
Exactly. Maybe doing x-rays or just working in a lab in general. With biomedicine, I could do that and even go to the aesthetic part. So it was more to what I was looking into. So nothing related to business. And I did stop that college when I came here to CPCC. So I don't know that if there's the same thing in here, but I kind of could lock my degree for a certain amount of time. Like if I came back.
Credits. I think that's what you mean, right? Like you can transfer the credits over from whatever you did in Brazil if you want to pursue a full degree here. I think you can do that, but different schools are different, I think.
Yes, and the requirements are different, of course, as well. So I think they would take some of the credits, but not others. But it is definitely an option. So I did stop the classes back there in college, and I went to CPCC. And then after I finished the program with CPCC, I did go back. You know, the plan was to finish college. But when I came here, I did met my husband, Austin. We're now been married for 4 years, almost 5.
They're so cute together.
Oh, thank you. He is very, very sweet. You know, he is the opposite of me in so many things, which is great because I am very, I don't know if it's energetic is the actual word that I want to say, but Austin is very calm. So, you know,
they complement each other very well.
Yes, I love that.
But love is what kind of redirect you, right? You didn't then go back to CPCC or any other college to finish any degree. I just want to help people maybe watching this outside of Charlotte. CPCC is a very well-known and resourceful and have amazing program there, like a community college here locally in Charlotte. I have seen and heard a lot of people pursuing degrees and programs and certifications there have only great things to say about them. So if you're in Charlotte, you should try it out.
Yeah.
I'm not even sponsor of CPCC. But
could be.
Jokes aside, so I wanted to know more, like, after you met Austin, you know, and then he convinced you should move to the United States, and you did, like, how did you then realize, hey, maybe going back to school is not the direction anymore? And how did you decide to start a business? And like when you were making that decision, what made you to start the exact business now you do have?
Right. So I think there was a lot of crying and not knowing what to do in the very few months. I had relatively, you know, a comfortable life in Brazil. I knew where I would go to study. I knew I had a house. I knew I had my family and all of that. So when I came here to live, I was like, what am I going to do? Because also I couldn't have a lot of information. And I was very scared of, okay, if I'm going back to college, like, how am I going to do that? And, you know, everyone just talked to you of how much that's going to cost. So when I start realizing really how much money I would need
in debt,
to start that journey and not having fully my primary family, because as I said, I do have my cousin, which it was and it still is a great support to me here. But, you know,
it's one person,
Oh, she's
rather
amazing.
than a network.
Yes, it was just
village.
one person. And then, I didn't know what to do, honestly. And I realized how much money I would need to really start the journey going back to school. And at the moment, I just couldn't afford that. So I knew I got to go back to work and find out what I'm going to do. And with the house cleaning, which is my business, how it started is I started working for someone else. The connections that you make here with people from Brazil, you realize there is niches for men and for women. So usually men to go to construction and things like that. And women usually do house cleaning, And I met one person that gave me the opportunity to work with her. And she was a very good person to me because, back in Brazil, I knew how to clean, but it doesn't mean it's the same thing
professionally.
Here. And professionally. And the products are different. And you got to make sure that, you know what you're doing so you're not damaging people's property. So
she is amazing. She's very great at what she does.
Try every day and learning every day.
We'll give out her information at the end of the podcast. You'll get the info there. Yeah, but go on. Sorry. So the chemical, you got to relearn the products. You're going to relearn a lot of quirks. I know, like, not every other country has all those fancy appliances and probably like big bathrooms and things people are very much into here and able to afford. So all those things you have to be extra careful. And every family, I think, homeowner has very particular needs and quirks as well. So it's a pretty big learning curve, I would assume.
Yeah, and that's what I learned the most, from her. So I started working with her, I want to say, in 2020. And the beginning was so hard. It was like, I don't know if I can physically continue to do this. No, I'm very small person, not a lot of muscles and stuff. But, once you start doing, and one thing about me, I'm very consistent and very persistent. I knew, okay, I'm going to have to try this for at least a certain amount of time, because the first month, it's obviously the hardest, it's when your body, it's getting used to it. But anyway, I worked with her, and she did let me have my clients at some point, which obviously not everyone does. And I'm very grateful to her for that. So I started in the community that we did live. So just sharing on Facebook, hey, you guys, if anybody needs some house cleaning, I could help. And then I got my very first client from this community, which I still have today. Yeah, she is amazing.
Loyal client. Yeah.
Very loyal client. And I'm very grateful for her. And that's how it started. I got my first client there. And then mainly after that was, mouth to mouth. And, it wasn't really the plan. Okay, this is what I'm going to do for life. It's just, it happened. I knew, okay, I think I'm good at this. And I think comparing to other people, there are some choices that I would do differently, and just listen to the clients. I could know, okay, what can I do better so this can be a good business? It's not perfect. So, I guess it's never going to be, each year is different and you learn something different.
Right.
But that's how everything started. Yeah.
I think it's very important to call, like when she said she's very persistent and consistent, that is a perfect definition. I met her through her business 3 years ago now, right?
3 years ago.
Yeah. And she came in, she was extremely professional. She was super thorough. She was very easy to understand, and not just language wise, but more so the way she will construct like what I do, what value I offer you. It was a really different experience I've ever had before using, cleaning services. So that was just, from that point on, with the communication, with the coordination, she really cares about her clients as well. I can tell you that. That's why we actually became closer and became friends. All right. So I know we were just speaking about, how amazing Larissa runs her business, and how, it started as something, it's a necessity basically, right? Like she needs money to go back to school to support herself, and they're young people who are in love. When was that? 22, 23? When you first
I
started
was
the business?
probably, I think I want to say 20, 22.
22.
I was 22 years old. Yeah.
So very young, but then she realized, like there's some more financial pressure, then went into the business, had community help, met really nice people, very supportive, who guided her through the initial process. But sure. I'm always interested because I've known some local entrepreneurs myself. You have seen how much they struggle, especially as small business, right? It's impacted by a lot of like political things and, pandemic. What would you say just on your daily operations? What would be the most difficult, I guess, challenges? And also what would be the most rewarding part of having your own business?
So I'm going to start with the most rewarding. I think it's being able to make your own choices. So it doesn't mean, and I have to say that very clearly, that you're going to work less. It's actually the opposite. But you have the ability of making choices. So is this the type of client that I want to have on my business? Or do I want to do this house, at this time on that day? Those are small choices on a daily basis that I can make. And it's really beneficial on the side of having your own business. And I think the most difficult part for me, I care a lot. So my brain never stops thinking of what can we do and, making sure that is the right choice for the people that work with me or for me or under me or whatever, and the clients. Because, you need the clients able to have the money coming in and have the business, but you also need the people that is working for you to be comfortable working with those clients, so you can actually have a thing going on.
Fit, yeah.
So I think that combination on a day-to-day basis is the biggest challenge, in my opinion.
And I'm sure, like when hospitality service industry, it's always a very often turnaround. Like people don't tend to stay in their positions for extensive long period of time. So there are, I have witnessed she had to, continuously recruit people, train people, and then like guide people, coach people, then this person leave, and then you have to repeat that process. Just, that's very tiresome. I can only imagine.
Yeah, it's very tiring. I mean, I understand the job requires a lot of you physically. So, it's understandable that people try to find something, better, or it doesn't require that much. So I understand
less
that
demanding.
part,
yeah,
of course. But, as the business owners and look at the business side, it's really very tiring because, when that person is really used to do things the way that you like, and after the whole time you spend training, they leave. And it's also difficult because I try to be very careful with whoever is working with me, because I understand they go into other people's house. So,
Homes,
can I trust this person, to be at my client's home? I could just, honestly, if you do go on the internet and you offer a job to anyone without background or any of the sorts experience, you can find people all day long. But, if you have filters and, you know what you're looking for.
Labor, it's
difficult, for
difficult.
Sure, I think.
But then I think the other day we were talking about this, maybe other small business owners would relate to, because it has been tax season, right? And she had so much more stress. I was complaining like, why do I have to do tax again? And then she was like, well, let me tell you. And like, I'm hearing her struggle and all the things you have to manage, your employees, W-2s, 1099-R, like, those. It's increasingly difficult, right? And how you maintain a healthy financial state of your business, I think that's quite challenging, budgeting.
Very challenging. Yeah. I think the first 2 months of the year, so January and February, it's, you have the deadlines, and you're trying to make sure you have all of the information that you need. Luckily, I do keep good track of most of the things, but the problem is not being an accountant yourself. You never know like where each information goes. So that was challenging for me working with my accountant, and not just this year, but the previous years too, to make sure I was doing everything as it should, making sure, we're sending the employees the documents that they need on the deadline that you have. And it's a lot of information to be honest. So I think that's what it's time and energy consuming, figuring out how is the right way to do things and make sure, you keep your business healthy.
And I think you also wear so many different hats, right? You were the coordinator yourself. You were the one answering the phones. You were the one going out to do estimates. You were the one picking up phone calls when there are complaints. And then you were also have to be your own accountant. So I think the beginning stage of any small business, the first, 2, 3, 5 years maybe are taxing. Like she said earlier, if you're looking for something easier, you have less to do. Don't be an entrepreneur. Like, don't start your own business. That's the opposite of everything. But I do want to, we're talking about some like the hardship and the rewarding. And I just want to point out, she picked to say something that is rewarding. That's who Larissa is. Extremely hopeful, positive, and always bringing the good energy to anyone and everyone, no matter how hard her days have been. That's just who she is. But tell me something fun. Like, do you have any stories? I'm throwing a curveball at her right now, but do you have any fun stories? Like, I've heard this, like, cooks don't like to go home and cook again. So who's cleaning at your house, Austin or you?
Oh, I do most of the cleaning in my own house.
Austin.
Yes, Austin needs to learn, He does some of the things that I don't like doing, like laundry. Folding the laundry is definitely something that
I love folding laundries.
I can have you in my house. I can clean here for you. And then
no experience.
But actually cleaning the house is something that I enjoy. And that I think is one important thing of the business, I don't hate what I do and what is the base part of the business, which is actually cleaning. So I do like that, and it's rewarding to see the before and after, So I like doing it in my own house.
Right.
But having sometimes, I have one of the ladies to go to my own house and do that for me if the week is just too crazy. And I must say, for you to get to your house after a very tiring day and knowing that everything is clean for you and you didn't have to do it, oh my God, it's the best feeling ever.
I know.
So I like cleaning my own house because I go through stuff like, is there anything I need to take out of my closet and, make some space?
I replenish them.
Here we go. And, we organize. And then you can do that when you're doing your own cleaning. And then when you have a company, unless that was something you discussed before, they're going to clean your house. So yeah, that's how it works for me.
I love it. And I think another part I always wondering was, like I mentioned, you were always so positive. I feel like you process stress really, really well. Because she is not only come over to help me, she is also my secondary therapist when she's here. I tell her everything, I vent to her everything, and she goes, and she has actually really great feedback. And sometimes I'm like, I should pay her more for doing all this. But how do you de-stress? Like, how do you get all those pressure, because some days I'll check in on her. We're friends now, so I'll ask her, how's your day? And she'll tell me, I'm like, oh my God, I would explode if that was my day. So what do you do?
So sometimes I do feel I'm going to explode. But this is the thing for me, being with someone that I like, having a good conversation, and most times eating good food. It's what is most like distressful for me. And then just sitting on my couch and, watching a good and very easygoing type of show.
She got me on Young Sheldon.
Oh, it's so good. They have a new season, no spoilers.
Okay.
You have to get there.
I can't wait.
But it's even better. You guys, you have to watch it if you haven't yet.
Again, Young Sheldon, we should be sponsored.
Here we we go. We're going to have a lot of
saying.
sponsors from this episode.
I know.
Love that.
Yeah. So watching some really lighthearted shows, like
Yes.
feel,
in talking
switch your
to
brain
people.
off. Yeah. Oh, having like great conversations.
Yes. I call my, my family in Brazil over the phone just so I can make sure I can have something new in my mind, because that's what it is. I think if you just sit down and if you start thinking of everything that gone wrong that day, you're just going to go crazy. So I try to occupy my brain with something else. That's
Very
what
wise.
I try to do. Yeah.
And I think we, when the weather was good, we went to Whitewater Center. Again, for people who are not from Charlotte, it is a very beautiful park. You can bike there. You can, they have a lot of like rock climbing and whitewater sports. So a lot of things you can do. They have like concerts, but we do this outdoor yoga session. It's free and it's in the woods. Very beautiful and very relaxing. I often find like nature kind of helps you expand your mind and heal your soul. Sometimes, like you realize, oh, I'm really small. Like I'm insignificant in a lot of ways, and that kind of like takes away, I think, the worry and a lot of pressure on yourself. And we do eat really well from time to time. We went to, what's the place? Fig Tree in like a pouring storm one night. We were like, so
good.
Yeah, it was so good. And they were like, what is the occasion? Because you can tell they're like a white glove, old school establishment. It's a very beautiful restaurant. We have this very interesting waiter. But we were just like,
no occasion.
Yeah, like just two of us.
Just
find our own dinner.
Right.
Yeah, it was great. It felt very empowered, right?
Oh, for sure. I think that I have read that somewhere. I don't know where right now, but there is something about, positive and negative ions or something like that.
Ions, yeah.
When you're in the nature, I think you get more positive ion or negative ions. And when, we are on the screens, or if we're just inside, we're getting more of the positive. Well, I don't know the order, but I know there's definitely something chemistry related,
Oh, actually,
and
yeah. Okay.
The yogas are amazing.
She's going back to her major.
Well, maybe one day.
Chemistry, yeah.
We'll see. I don't know if I remember. Oh my God. I look at my notebook sometimes. It was like, how did I do that? How did I know that? Oh my God.
Great. Yeah.
It was fun. My grades were really, it was good, so I don't know.
She's very smart. So I have no doubt. Yeah.
Thank you. But if you do ask me, I don't remember a lot of the things.
But because I think you're not practiced with it anymore. Yeah. I think you're doing whatever you love doing, and I know you're doing well. But at some point in life, you never know. Maybe you want to go back there, and I think you'll do just great, if not greater. So
thank you.
Yeah. One thing also, I know, we've talked about a lot was work-life balance. Going back to your point earlier, just being entrepreneur is extremely busy and you have so many hats to wear. When you go home and you don't necessarily, shut everything off, you cannot. So how, you're married now between you and Austin, do you see like all the work things kind of take a toll on the marriage or creating some of the issues at times? Like, how do you manage, the rhythm and reprioritize things?
I think the very honest answer is I don't manage. Like, I sometimes feel, okay, how can I do this? Because the stress of the day, even though I answered earlier that I try, let's watch something light and something. A lot of times I do feel that I bring that home and bring into our conversations at night with Austin. And, sometimes he can see and tell how nervous I am. So I'm not going to be talking to him a ton that day, so it's definitely very difficult to put it apart. And I don't know how people there are married and work together can manage.
Yeah.
Because it's so much, and I feel like it's a mistake that we do make a lot of times, to feel like that person that you're married to is the person that is going to take all of the bullshit, if I can say it that way. And it's not like that, and it shouldn't be like that. So it's something that I try to watch myself every day. But the honest answer right now is that I don't manage. So sometimes, we're going to go to bed, we barely exchange 3 or 4 words that day. But at this point, I think he knows it's not about him. It's about something that happened during that day. So he's always like, yeah, you didn't have a good day today, did you? And you're like, no, it wasn't a good day,
But that's such a way for him to support you, right? Like he cannot be there in your day-to-day operations. Austin also works a lot. So, you guys are both doing this for the family as a unit, and I think as a team. And that was something needs to be called out, and maybe some other couples can take this great advice too, is like sometimes you just need to give your spouse or partner like a moment of silence.
For sure.
Yeah, for them to compartmentalize things or just like decompress, like when they first walk in. But I think you're doing much better than you are expressing. She's still extremely caring. And I'm glad you're at least noticing that and being more mindful.
Right.
And we'll figure out ways, right? Like we're all learning to develop like additional skill sets to kind of better our relationships, you know, inside and outside the family.
That's very true. Yeah. And I start talking a lot was once we go to bed, I think I didn't say anything previously during the evening, but once we go to bed and we're laying down, then I start talking. I feel like, okay, now it's time to sleep. He does go to work at 6 a.m. He has to be there at 6 a.m. So he gets up at 5 and he goes like, okay, now is the time for me to sleep, now the conversation time.
I have an idea. So you just go home and sit in bed first thing first, and you both sit there for 30 minutes, and then, we venture out.
That's a great idea.
That's your safe space.
Right.
For you to feel comfortable to share.
Right. And I feel like, okay, I had my time away. No, we can talk. Because like, we cannot talk. Like, let's sleep. But
I think that makes a lot of sense. But again, going back to complementary each other, right? Like you can tell like they're different, but all the differences seems to work in the right places. So I do have one last thing I want to ask you is, 2024, we just started. We're already in March, time flies. What is the biggest goal you want to accomplish this year? And, also what is maybe something you want to shake it off and take off of your plate this year?
Right. I think take it off. It's really, learning how to separate things, personal life and, business and things like that. I think that's the main goal for this year, to take off my plate. And, that I want to accomplish is really have a good structure. If you're a big company, you have a lot of departments, one taking care of your payroll and bookkeeping, and one
HR,
and one just really training the staff, and one just taking care of the scheduling. And right now I am the person that does all of that. Mm-hmm. And I want probably by the end of this year have something more structured where, I can really separate what am I doing in the company and what am I having other people outside, to do. So I think,
okay, to delegate some of the tasks or roles you're playing.
Yes.
I think that's wise because you can't do everything all together by yourself. Nope. You're going to break at some point. This is the great advice I give her all the time. Find someone else to do it.
Right.
But I think as any successful entrepreneur, you also have this sense of you want to get in on the action, you want to do it, and you sometimes believe you do it the best. So I think it's hard for you to relinquish that kind of control and let someone else take care of things for you. But you will get there. I think everyone at some point figured it out that is a natural step to advance their business. So I think she will do great.
Hopefully. And the great surprise is you're probably going to find someone that does it better than you, You think you do it better, but there's probably someone out there that's going to do better than you do. So, got to give it a try.
Look at how wise she is. I would just like to call out, Larissa, you were like 28, 29? No?
26.
Oh my God.
26. I think I stopped counting after a certain time. I don't even remember.
So this is a running joke in her family, her cousin, we went to her birthday a few months ago. And her cousin's husband, and they keep telling me she's old. She's very, very old. Yeah. She's just, what he meant was Larissa just incredibly wise beyond her age in any way.
She's 60.
Yeah, she's 60.
She's 60 years old.
Yeah, she's 60. Everybody thinks, she's way more mature than
doesn't look like, not that I'm trying to compliment myself, but some people ask, like, do you really have enough age to even be, working? Yeah. So, yeah.
Especially when she tied her hair up, no makeup, and she walks in. Well, first time I met her, I was like, she's 12. So
she can't look at my house. I'm going to go to jail,
Exactly. But put the work stuff aside. I think a lot of people wanted to know, since, there is someone from Brazil, tell us if we're going to visit Brazil or even in Charlotte, right? Where to eat the authentic Brazilian food. I know you guys are huge on bakery and it's delicious. She got me hooked on that. Sure. Not that I need any of it, but also, like, if we do go to Brazil, like, where should we visit? What's your favorite place to be and to go when you go home and visit?
Well, my favorite place to go is my home and, be with my family. But I always tell people, most people, when we talk about Brazil, they know Rio de Janeiro and São Paulo. I've never been to São Paulo before, so I can not speak of it, but I have been to
That's the right way to pronounce those two cities. Did you hear that?
Rio de Janeiro, São Paulo, right? Oh, but where I would go to see, like, beautiful nature and beaches, I would go to the Northeast. So, Ceará, even Lençóis Maranhenses. Oh my God, it's so beautiful. I have been to Ceará before, so I can speak. The water is warm. Everything is beautiful.
Yeah, you're
the food
a beach
is
person.
Good.
Yeah.
So, I'm definitely a beach person. Don't like the cold. But yeah, I would go to that area. In Lençóis Maranhenses, it's really beautiful. I've never been, but anyone that you meet that's been there, oh my God, it's breathtaking. So I would say try to go to those areas. Rio de Janeiro, there is a lot of beautiful places to see, and it's a really beautiful city. I've never been to the Christ Redeemer before. 2022 was the first time I actually went there because I've been to Rio a couple of times, but I didn't really do the tourist thing that, it's famous for. And I was really surprised. It was really a good trip, seeing all of those nice stuff. It was very nice. But if I needed to choose between one place and another, I would go, like, as I said, Lençóis Maranhenses, Ceará, Bahia, so somewhere around that area on the map, which is nice and cheap.
Don't worry. That. If you're like me, we will write this later in our caption or comment area for you to understand how we actually Google those places.
Yes. I don't even know how I would say Lençóis Maranhenses in English. I'm not sure if there's a translation for that. There is a guy, I was watching a YouTube video from American.
Oh yeah.
He went there and he had a lot of fun, but I do think he just wrote, the
in
word in Portuguese. So we can definitely write that down for anyone that wants to search for it. So.
Yeah. How about Charlotte, like food wise?
I think Tropical Bakery and Brazilian Eats and Treats are the main two ones. Well, Tropical Bakery has been around for a really long time, and the food is really good. You can have the famous coxinha, it's good. And you can have caldo de cana, pastel de queijo. Yes, like if there's...
What are they? Tell people who have never had them before. They are pastries, right? Yeah.
Brazilian Eats and Treats is in Pineville.
Okay.
And then the Tropical Bakery is in Matthews. And that's, just bakery-wise. If you really want actual food, there's the new place called Brazilian Sportway. You've been there. I'm not sure what you tried, but, it's good food.
They have live music there, too. And everyone in there is so good looking. Just would like to tell you guys that, like from
Oh, yes.
waiter, staff to people who perform.
I'm assuming you're going back.
Oh yeah,
Hopefully.
yeah, 100%. Yeah, I went with our mutual friend Liz and her husband. Yeah, and I was jaw dropping because I was like, "Oh, where am I? Am I in a movie or something?" Yeah. So it was
It's a
fun.
really good environment. So yeah.
Again, I'll take sponsorship from Brazilian Sports Bar as well.
Oh, here we go. So just one more to the list, you see. Well, the place that I liked the most for the actual food, they were so small and they actually closed down probably a year ago. But their food was like really, really homey. That's how I felt like. But, we do have still good options. Yeah.
Perfect. But I think we have taken enough of Larissa's time today. If you guys love her, tell me, put it in the comment, and we'll make sure we invite her back. Like I said, she's a very dear friend, and I really look up to her. And if you guys have any other questions or thinking about starting your own business, especially maybe in the house cleaning area, reach out and we'll see how we can help out in that way.
Yes, please. And this is great. Thank you for having me. I really, really love that.
Yeah. Hey, happy Saturday, everybody. And have a great rest of your day. See you next time.